just such a ridiculously cool piece of music, isn't it? The theme to Bullitt, of course. And we want to take a moment to reflect on the incredible life and legacy of four-time Grammy Award-winning composer Lalo Schifrin, who has died aged 93. The master behind so many great movie themes, including the theme from Bullitt, from Mission Impossible, Enter the Dragon, Dirty Harry as well. So many. Professor Joe Bennett, a.k.a. Dr. Beat, we can speak to, forensic musicologist and a professor at the Berklee College of Music. Hello to you, Joe.
Hi there, Chris. Very good to speak to you.
Well, it's great to have you on. I was thinking when I was listening to Bullitt earlier on, I was thinking of Dirty Harry as well, and just there was a lot of nerve in his music, wasn't there, in terms of his ability to alternate between real strong build-ups and then dropping into almost complete silence. You know, there were some big nervy decisions being made there.
I like that word, nerve. It kind of works on two levels, doesn't it? You know, he took some bold artistic risks, and a lot of the content, a lot of the movies and TV shows that he scored were themselves very nervy. I mean, you mentioned a couple of the movies there, and of course, Mission Impossible comes into both parts of his composing career because he composed that famous theme as a TV show theme, and to this day we still hear it in the Tom Cruise movies, the same theme that he composed back in '66.
Yes. Well, should we remind ourselves of that? Here we go. There was just a bit more of Mission Impossible. Come on, here we go. Yeah, and his most famous piece of music, you would have thought, Joe, and it's that sort of, I mean, the listener was getting in touch earlier saying it's that 5/4 time, which it creates the whole mood in your head, doesn't it? You know something's happening, you know something's coming, there's a real urgency to it.
Well, right, 5/4 time is a very, very unusual time signature, both in pop music and indeed in movie scores, and it naturally creates tension because it's kind of lopsided. So as we heard that very famous riff, da 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 da, and it's literally, I learned, da da dot dot.
Yes.
It comes from the Morse code, which is a technique quite a lot of composers use. So the Morse code for M is da da, and the I is dot dot.
Yeah.
So you get long, long, short, short, long, and that makes up your 1, 2, 3,
Very cool,
4,
that,
5,
isn't it?
1, 2.
Yeah.
So what an amazing bit of sort of meta knowledge inserted into the film score, but extraordinary riff. And of course, Lalo Schifrin came from jazz and the big band. His early career, after he moved to the US and started working with Dizzy Gillespie, a lot of his early work was very jazz influenced, and that was sort of carried on right through his career. And I think we can hear it a little bit there in the upper chromatic line of Mission Impossible. It's almost got sort of quasi bebop lick, that da 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 da, that chromatic descent, which, as you say, is very nervy.
Yeah, Joe, it's Claire here. I mean, I'm looking at his CV and, the tributes coming in. 4 Grammys, nominated for 6 Oscars, 5 for original scores. These movies, Cool Hand Luke, The Fox, Voyage of the Damned, Amityville Horror, The Sting 2. He said every movie has its own personality. There are no rules to write music for movies. But, I mean, he also, I didn't know he did this. He wrote the grand finale musical performance for the World Cup in Italy in 1990 with the 3 tenors. When they sang together for the first time, and the work became one of the biggest sellers in the history of classical music. I mean, he had such a range, didn't he? Because of his background, as you said, his jazz and his classical training. He had this amazing ability to sort of shape shift between genres.
Right, and so you hear it not only in the composition, the notes that he chooses, but in the instrumentation. And, he did have this amazing talent for just deciding on the right the right instrumentation, the right orchestral forces to sort of tell the story. And as you name some of the movies and TV shows there, these were not art house movies. These were mainstream Hollywood. I don't know if they used the word blockbuster back then, but they were big hits. So that, and in many cases, the music is as famous as the movie. Certainly, I would say that if you say Mission Impossible to most people, they will immediately think of that riff. And yet some of the scores were remarkably minimalist. I was listening earlier to the Dirty Harry soundtrack, collaboration with Clint Eastwood in '71, and it's incredibly sparse. It's basically just a funky groove with some electric guitar licks over the top of it, but it builds and builds and builds. So the orchestration is an important compositional element to his work.
Listen, I just want to play. Can I just? Chris, I just want to play this. This is also another piece from the Mission Impossible soundtrack that many people may not know. They may have heard it somewhere else, but this is where it originated from. It's the Danube Incident. It's absolutely brilliant, and Portishead sampled that on Sour Times and sped it up a bit and pitched it up a bit, but it's just, you instantly know it's him, don't you?
Absolutely. And it was the sort of again, back to Chris's phrase, nerve. It was the sort of nerve jangling theme. So that iconic instrument that we hear on the intro there is called a cymbalom, which is a type of Eastern European hammered dulcimer, and it's played with two sticks on the string. So we hear that dega-dega-dang at the start, which, as you say, became part of the iconic intro, not only to that bit of scene music from the 60s TV show, but also formed the main intro and hook to Sour Times when Portishead sampled it as part of the Dummy album.
I think we've got time for one more. And actually, when you think about it, he was working the music alongside some of the coolest people in history. When you think about it, if you're thinking Clint Eastwood, Steve McQueen, and I know you wanted to play one from Cool Hand Luke, and then you've got Paul Newman in the mix. I mean, it was just the marriage of the cool music with those cool people and the very cool films. It couldn't lose, really, could it? But have a little listen to this is from the end of Cool Hand Luke. Yeah, incredible movie. And Lalo Schifrin was nominated for an Academy Award, I think, for that, wasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, again, a great example of his extraordinary skill, not only as a melody writer, but as an orchestrator. So there we hear a classical guitar duet, just arpeggios on one guitar and the top line melody on the other, with very gentle string underscore. And then the theme's picked up by the harmonica, which, for those who've seen the movie, they will know the sort of the Paul Newman character. Luke is very much sort of a guy on his own, representing solitude and resilience and so on. And to me, that harmonica really brings that out when the theme doubles there at that point. So yeah, an extraordinary composition, and not in his what we might say signature style. It doesn't have that big band vibe, because it was supposed to be a story set in the deep south of the US, in Florida, in a prison. So he was incredibly versatile composer and arranger.
Indeed. Always fascinating talking to you, Joe. Thank you so much for taking us through some of that, and just what a life and legacy that Lalo Schifrin has left. Thank you, Joe.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Professor Joe Bennett, aka Dr. Beat, forensic musicologist and a professor at the Berklee College of Music.